Like always, I want to thank you guys for coming out and covering Penn State football. I want to thank the fans. People struggle to get attendance in general. There was reports that the weather was going to be tough, and we still had a great crowd, specifically early in the game that had a major factor in the game for us. When you talk about the statistics that we talk about each week, the field position battle, we won that. The turnover battle, we tied. We had one late in the game. Penalty battle, we won. Didn't necessarily feel like that, but we did. The explosive play battle, we won that. Really, not only did we win it in the totality of it, but also offensively we met our goal and defensively we met our goal. Some pretty cool notes for you. Jake Pinniger, I'm so happy for him playing his tail off right now. You're talking about a guy who was the starter, lost his starting job, stuck it out, stayed here, became the starter again, and is playing really well right now. Another 50-yard field goal tonight at the end of the second quarter. We got 13 different players with a sack right now. Back-to-back games with 6 sacks or more. Hasn't happened since 2007. On top of that, no sacks on offense. Our O-line is playing their tails off right now with a lot of moving parts. Defensively, I think we held them to 27 yards in the first half. On top of that, because of the way our defense and special teams are playing, I think our offense had the ball on their side of the field for 27 plays as well. Again, Pinniger, I can't say enough about him. And then I think it was the 4th game that we've had this year without allowing a sack. That's the first time that's happened since 2011. And then the last thing I wanted to mention, just so you guys are aware and there's no gray area out there, but Joey Portis was not available tonight, and that was a non-football injury situation that we were working through. So I just want to be very, very clear with that so everybody knows. And hopefully we'll have Joey back soon. Open up the questions.
We'll go Rich, and then we'll go Mark.
Two-part question. How many push-ups did you do? And it seems like the defensive line is fresh, even at this point of the season. Why were they able to dominate?
Yeah, we're playing a lot of guys. And we've worked really hard at developing and recruiting depth. I think that's a big part of it. I would have liked to have had Kozai Izzard from the beginning of the season, but him not playing the first 4, probably helped with that a little bit as well. I did 15 push-ups because everybody is held accountable around here. And I had my first unsportsmanlike conduct penalty in 12 years as a head coach. And I was embarrassed by it, so I did my push-ups. Everybody's held accountable. I think they thought I was yelling at the officials, and I wasn't. I was yelling at our players, but either way, I got an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. First one in 12 years.
James, following up on what Rich said, to set the tone in the game with a pass rush, how important was that on a day like this and against a quarterback who's that good? And do you have an indication of why suddenly these sacks are starting to pile up when maybe they weren't there earlier in the year? Thanks.
Well, I think to your first point, I would actually say on a day like today with the weather, the tackles for loss you would think would have been more impactful, than the sacks. But we were able to do both. We were able to get tackles for loss. We were able to get sacks. We were able to get them off schedule. We felt like we had some pretty good matchups. They obviously have some injuries as well, and I think those matchups favored us, and we were able to do it. But I think the other thing is our guys are getting more and more comfortable and confident in how we want to play football and be disruptive and be vertical up the field and through gaps. And I think our guys are just getting more and more comfortable with how to do that. But the other thing is when you get people off schedule, when you're able to suffocate the run like we were able to do and you're able to get tackles for loss and put them in obvious passing situations, that helps as well. And then on top of that, we're going to give up a play because of man coverage from time to time. But even without Joey, we were able to play really good man coverage. And now the quarterback's got to hold on to the ball, and that helps too. So it's complementary defense. It's complementary football, which is I thought we played tonight, really offense, defense, and special teams. We started fast. Started fast with the opening kick. We pin them inside the 10, I think. We go 3 and out on defense. Offense goes down and scores. So that was a real positive for us as well.
James, when you have the home run hitter like Nick and he can take it to the house from anywhere, what is the value of that from the explosive play standpoint? And then those were both on fourth downs. What did you like about the calls and the setup on fourth down?
Yeah, I think, whenever you have people, whether it's at wide out or running back or tight end or whatever it is on the offensive side of the ball, that scare people, it impacts the defense and it impacts the defensive coordinator. Because they know you make a mistake and it can go for 50, it can go for 60 at any point, and that has really helped our offense this year. I really believe that, and I just think we have really done a good job of committing to short yardage situations and get better at it. That's something we hadn't really done here recently, so that's been a real positive for us this year. I love the package that we're running. It really puts the defense in a tough spot. Because we can do a lot of things out of that formation. And defensively, you can't be everywhere at once. And when you got a veteran quarterback that can sit in there and get us in the right call, that helps too.
Coach, did you have any consideration to starting Drew at the start of the second half, or was your plan all along to play him in this second, third series, whatever it was? And then just for Sean, what does it mean to you to have him take the torch from Trace as the all-time passing leader?
Yeah, I think you guys know, the amount of respect I have for Sean. He's been here a long time. He's done it the right way. He's represented the program with class. And obviously, his statistics, talk about his overall production. So, I'm happy for him and I'm proud of him. Really, for us, we don't really – I think early in the season, a couple games, we had a plan to try to get Drew in at a certain series, but we're – way past that now. It just gets to the point where it's how soon can we get him in the game where we feel like the lead is enough that we're comfortable with doing it. The other challenge, though, is when we get Drew in the game, we got a bunch of other guys that we need to get out of the game, and then there's a fine line because I want Drew in there with the starters, but then there's also a fine line. Our depth is depleted on the offensive line. And we need to get those guys off the field because we can't afford to have them late in the game in there. And then, it's not the ideal situation. I wish we were at a different point from an injury perspective and from a depth perspective. Hopefully we'll get some of those guys back because early in the season I felt really good about our number 2 O-line, but we got a lot of moving parts right now, so that factors into it a little bit too. Yeah, I started with that.
James, I'm back here.
Hey, Dave.
Um,
What happened?
what happened?
You
I
always
don't-
sit right there when you're here.
I was talking to Mike Loxley. He didn't like my question too much, so I'll ask you.
I can relate.
Do you ever look, you mentioned the crowd, you ever look around on a day like today and see 85, 90,000 people in the first week of November? And that's what I was asking him about, the inherent differences between how many people care here. And Maryland should be a great rivalry, but man, he's got a hell of a hill to climb, and this place really is amazing sometimes. I mean, you mentioned it.
Yeah, I'll speak for Penn State, and it is special. I mean, I come in here and I make that statement all the time, but I hope it's coming off in a way that the fans truly understand how much we appreciate them and how impactful it is. And I think that's one of the things that's probably most amazing about this place is through the good and the bad. For how many years now, people are talking about decreasing stadium size, and most NFL stadiums hold about 75, and we're able to get 106,000, 107,000 on a pretty consistent basis. Good weather in the beginning of the year, tough weather in the middle of the year, it doesn't matter. Our fans come out, and it differentiates us, and it makes us special at a time where it's hard to find ways to differentiate yourselves in college football. Everybody's trying to find ways to do it, whether it's with uniforms or facilities or whatever it is. And this is special. And I remind our players all the time about it. not to take it for granted. I know Pat and Vinny, our athletic director, has been blown away by it. I think we announced publicly our number of season ticket holders for the first time ever. It is unique and it is special, and I hope I convey how much we appreciate it and how much it means to us.
We'll go two more, Tyler, and then Calista.
James, for a few years now, you've talked about the importance of being able to run the football when everyone in the stadium knows you want to run it, the short yardage. To be able to do that here and have a big performance, no sacks, I think 1 sack in the last couple of games, when we're all wondering what the offensive line is going to look like, what are you learning about your offensive line room here in November?
Once again, I said at the beginning of the year, I'm going to hold off about talking about the O-line and let you guys talk about them. But I think your point is a good one. Being able to run the ball at times when everybody in the stadium knows you're going to run the ball, that's when you got a chance to be pretty good on the offensive side of the ball from a balance perspective, from a running game perspective, from a 4-minute situation, and even in the red zone. The best teams in the red zone are able to run the ball. So it helps you in a lot of different ways. And then again, when you're able to hand it to guys that can turn a 6-yard run into a 12-yard run or turn a 12-yard run into a 50-yard run, and we got guys that can do that. And, they've been really good complementary pieces. I wish you guys could see on the sideline how supportive they are of one another. That's been really cool to see as well. So I think it's been a huge difference for us.
Last question, Calista, over.
Hey, Coach, way back here in the corner.
Right corner, far right corner.
Sorry,
me.
you're also right under that spotlight.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I just
Couple,
couldn't see.
couple days ago, you were asked about freshman running backs hitting the wall. It seems like Nick has brought some extra physicality the last 2 weeks at Indiana and then here tonight. Is that something you've noticed in practice all week, him being more physical? And how impressed are you that he seems to be getting a little bit stronger and more physical as the year progresses?
Yeah, I think it helps that we rotated backs all year. Earlier in the year, we had 3. Hopefully we'll get Kevon back here, and that will help too. But, yeah, I think that's a part of it. The way we practice those guys, Tank's been a big part of it as well. He's done a great job. Holsworth's done a great job in practice. So rotating those guys and being smart about it, teaching those guys how to take care of their body from a hydration, from a sleep, from a nutrition perspective. And then having 2 backs that are pretty much splitting time. A lot of times you have a starter and a backup, and the reps kind of break down like that. We don't. They're splitting reps. And early in the year, we had 3 that we were rotating. So I think all those things have factored into it. I think the O-line's playing well. I think the tight ends are doing a good job. So it's kind of all those things together, and they're 2 really talented guys.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks. Appreciate you guys.